In the last video, we started the Retirement Dream Team series, talking about health and how your first advisor should be your doctor. Today, I want to talk about your money, but maybe not in the way you're used to hearing it. You see, most of the gurus out there are obsessed with the math and the odds of making sure not to run out of money until you're, well, at least 90. But I've lived through the early 80s when interest rates hit 18%. I've seen inflation almost eat up a paycheck before the ink was even dry. I also suffered through the 2008 crash. I watched my retirement account drop a little over 30%. And then in 2009 enjoyed a nice bounce back, recovering much of my losses. Again in 2020 and in 2022, sharp declines with relatively quick recoveries. And if those years taught me anything, it's that no matter how smart you are, how well you plan, or how good you are at math, life is going to throw you a curveball. You can't just have a plan on a piece of paper. You need a team that can help you adjust when needed, or maybe more importantly, to just help and encourage you to just stay the course. That's why I believe everyone needs a financial advisor, or what I call a financial quarterback. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I haven't always felt this way. For most of my life, I was a DIY guy. I like managing my own portfolio, checking the balances, reading and watching the business news, and making the calls. Now, being an introvert, well, it probably helped, as I'm a researcher by nature. I usually understood the stocks and the funds I was invested in and the risk associated with them. I'm pretty patient and usually slow to change. So for the time I've been in the market, these characteristics have served me well. I did just fine on my own. I made some mistakes, sure, but nothing that sank the ship. But by the time I got serious about retirement, I had built up a modest non-retirement account on my own. But to be honest, excuse me, most of my money was in my 401k retirement fund. So, set it and forget it formula, well, it fit me just fine. It was kind of like a piggy bank that kept getting fatter and fatter as I kept adding money to it each paycheck. I would review it at the annual 401k meetings and usually made no changes. But as I got closer to that retirement finish line, I realized something. My journey was just changing. When you're 40, if you make a mistake, you've got time to work a few extra shifts and fix it. But when you're 65 or 70, you don't have that labor lever to pull anymore. You move from being a saver to being a spender of your hard work. So I guess about a year before retirement, I began thinking, what am I going to do with this nice retirement money I get from my 401k? Now, I'll have to make the decisions on how to invest it, how to spend it. Not to mention taxes, RMDs, Social Security, Medicare, and inheritance planning if anything is left over. I realized quickly this was getting beyond my skill set. So that's when I started transitioning to a professional advisor. As you can tell, it wasn't just about the math. So let's jump ahead to today, after nearly 4 years of retirement. First off, it was about confidence. I'm nearly 70 years old. I'm not as interested in watching the markets and business news as I used to be. I want to still stay engaged with my investments and have the ultimate say, but it's a different game in retirement. Risks are greater, and mistakes can have a devastating impact on your retirement. I want a professional and a team of professionals whose job it is to watch those monitors and keep up with any changes. while I'm out playing with the grandkids or maybe just taking a nap. You know, this helped remove unnecessary stress from my retirement. But probably more importantly, and this is the part that hits home for me, it was about my wife, Anita. Anita's never wanted to be deeply involved in our finances. She trusts me to handle it. But I had to ask myself, Wes, if you go first, what kind of burden are you leaving her? I didn't want to leave her with a pile of passwords and a good luck note. I wanted her to have a trusted partner already in place. So hiring an advisor, it wasn't just a financial move for me. It was an act of love for her and our family. And it's given us both, it's given us peace of mind. So if you're at that point where you're ready to get serious about your financial future, or like me, transition from DIY to an advisor, you may be thinking or asking, well, how do I find that right person? You're not looking for a salesman. You're looking for someone to be the quarterback of your retirement team. You're looking for a fiduciary. That's just a fancy word that means they're legally required to put your interests ahead of their own. You want someone with a track record of successfully working with other clients that they're in your situation. When you sit down with someone, don't let them hide behind the Wall Street jargon. If they can't explain how they get paid in plain English, that's a red flag. Ask them how they plan for 1979 style inflation or 2008 crash. Ask them how they're going to coordinate with other members of your retirement team. Because if your tax plan, your investment plan, and your legacy plan aren't talking to each other, you're just leaking money. Also, watch YouTube channels like Joe Kuhn and Rob Berger. I think they're probably some of the best honest information out there. And I continue to watch all their videos. Look, I know it's hard for many of you to let go of the reins. I'm an introvert. I get it. But retirement isn't about being a full-time fund manager. It's about functional freedom. It's about having the time to do what matters with the people you love. So hire a professional or a team of professionals so you can go back to being a professional at living. Next week, we're going to talk about the shield, the CPA who keeps the taxman away from your hard-earned savings. But for today, just ask yourself, do I have a quarterback I can trust? I'm Wes. Glad you're here. See you in the next one. That's a pretty good one.